Basically, the incident begins with Sohel's maternal grandfather. The victims of this incident were Sohel's maternal uncle, father, mother, and Sohel himself. Sohel heard this incident from his mother. One day, while hanging out with Sohel, Masfik asked him during their conversation if he knew of any frightening incident. At that point, Sohel told Masfik to look at his ear. When Masfik looked at his ear, he was completely surprised. There was a strange formation there. Then Masfik asked Sohel, "Was this something you were born with?" Sohel replied that there was a big story behind it. When Masfik asked Sohel to tell him the whole incident from beginning to end, Sohel became sad. He described the incident in detail. With fear and despair, Sohel began telling the story. The incident happened a long time ago. Sohel's maternal grandfather's father was a Kabiraj at that time. People from the surrounding area would come to him for jarfuk, and he would also provide remedies for various problems. He had quite a reputation as a Kabiraj, not only in his own area but also in the surrounding villages. Sohel has forbidden us from mentioning his maternal grandfather's father's name. Therefore, his name will not be mentioned here. When practicing Kabiraji, a person often has to deal with or fight against jinn, and one has to move very carefully. Otherwise, something very serious can happen. There were many cursed jinn who were extremely angry with Sohel's maternal grandfather's father. He had made many powerful jinn his enemies. At the same time, he also had many good jinn who listened to him and helped people. Before Sohel's maternal grandfather's father died, he taught Sohel's maternal grandfather many things so that this knowledge of Kabiraji could be passed down to the next generation. Sohel's maternal grandfather's name was Idris Ali. From childhood, he was very brave and daring. He was not afraid of any task, and he never liked to back away from anything. Seeing his nature and behavior, Idris Ali's father taught him many things about his Kabiraji practices. When Idris Ali's father eventually died of old age, Idris Ali began practicing the Kabiraji knowledge he had learned from his father. As people saw that he was good at his work, they gradually started coming to him for solutions to various problems. And this was how the days continued to pass. Idris Ali had 2 sons and 4 daughters. Sohel's mother was the second among the daughters. Sohel's maternal grandfather, Idris Ali, had a large piece of land some distance away from his house. There, he raised the surrounding land with soil and dug out an area like a pond, where he started farming fish. Every year, he made a good profit from fish farming. His pond was filled with many kinds of fish, such as ruay, katla, mrigal, and various other local fish, as well as farm-raised fish. The incident took place sometime between approximately 1975 and 1980. Idris Ali noticed that the number of fish in his pond was decreasing day by day. Naturally, he became a little worried. He began wondering whether someone was stealing the fish from his pond. He shared the matter with his son and wife. After hearing this, Idris Ali's wife said, "Then let's guard the pond." Hearing this, Idris Ali said, "Then from tomorrow my elder son and I will guard the pond." And that is exactly what they did. The next night, after finishing dinner, Idris Ali and his elder son set out to guard the pond. They took a flashlight and a duh with them. There was a reason for carrying the duh. At night, snakes and various other animals could suddenly attack. Some animals would not be frightened by a stick, so they would have to be dealt with using the duh. That was mainly why they carried a duh at night. Besides that, there was always a possibility of a sudden attack by robbers. And robbers in those days were usually armed with traditional weapons. For this reason, many people would go out at night carrying a duh. They did the same. For several days, they guarded the pond, but they did not notice anything unusual. Since the fish did not seem to be decreasing during those days, they eventually stopped guarding the pond. They had not seen anything at night. A few more days passed. Then Idris Ali noticed once again that the number of fish in his pond was decreasing. This time, he began to suspect something. Since he was known as a Kabiraj among the villagers and had learned at least some knowledge of Kabiraji, he could sometimes sense beforehand if something paranormal was happening. Idris Ali discussed the matter with his wife. His wife then said, "Tonight, I will also go with you to guard the pond. I want to see what is happening." Idris Ali's wife was also a very pious woman. At the time of this incident, Sohel's mother was about 6 or 7 years old. She was also aware of this incident. That night, Idris Ali, his wife, and their elder son finished dinner and left the house to guard the pond. That night, they took a 3-battery torch and a dah with them and went to the pond. When they reached the pond, they began keeping watch. There were no houses around the pond. At that time, the area was not as densely populated, and there were not as many houses as there are today. Idris Ali, his wife, and his elder son were keeping watch together. It was already deep into the night. They could not determine exactly what time it was. Suddenly, Idris Ali's elder son noticed a sound coming from the water. It was a faint sound. There was a soft noise coming from the water, and at that time there was moonlight. Sohel's maternal uncle also looked around the pond. While looking around, his eyes suddenly became fixed on one corner of the pond. In the moonlight, Idris Ali's son, Sohel's maternal uncle, saw a woman wearing a white sari. The woman was sitting with her back facing the pond, doing something. Then Idris Ali's son showed the thing to his father and mother. Look, what is that thing? Because Idris Ali was a Kabiraj, he immediately understood what the thing might be as soon as he saw it. Then Idris Ali told his son and wife, "Nobody needs to go over there. We are sitting here. Let's stay here and see who is stealing the fish and what that thing is doing. We shouldn't do anything suddenly." At that time, his wife and son still did not understand that this was not something normal. They thought that perhaps Idris Ali had simply said that for some other reason. Because when they looked at the figure, there was nothing particularly abnormal about it. Meanwhile, Idris Ali's son, Sohel's maternal uncle, kept watching the woman. Seeing the splashing sound in the water, he realized that she was taking fish out of the water and eating them. When Sohel's maternal uncle saw her catching the fish, he became extremely angry. He was so furious that he had nothing else on his mind. He had completely forgotten that his father had just warned him not to go there. He grabbed the dah that was in his hand and started running toward the female figure. Seeing his son running, Idris Ali kept shouting, "Stop, son! Stop! Don't go that way! Come back! Come back! I said don't go!" But Sohel's maternal uncle, driven by anger and rage, kept running. He did not listen to his father's words. When he got close to the female figure, he noticed that the figure had extremely long hair. The hair stretched a long distance across the ground. The woman's hair was incredibly long. Where she was sitting, her hair extended far behind her and spread across a large area of the ground. Because it was nighttime, Sohel's maternal uncle had not noticed that she was sitting with her hair spread all around her, covering such a large area. As soon as the boy got close to the figure did something horrifying. Using her hair, she wrapped it around Sohel's maternal uncle like a giant python. Then she lifted him up and slammed him violently onto the ground. Normally, there are no nerves in human hair. A person cannot move their hair the way they can move their hands and feet. But that figure wrapped her hair around Sohel's maternal uncle and violently slammed him onto the ground with tremendous force. Meanwhile, seeing her own son in such a condition, Idris Ali's wife also lost control of herself. The moment she saw her son fall like that, she too started running toward him. As soon as the figure slammed him onto the ground, he screamed, "Ma!" Hearing such a cry from her own child, no mother could possibly remain calm. That was why Idris Ali's wife started running toward him. Basically, after that single violent blow, accompanied by that scream, Sohel's maternal uncle, the son of Idris Ali, died right there. Idris Ali and his wife could not believe what they were seeing. His wife had already started running toward her son. But by the time she got close, the figure was no longer there. It had disappeared. Idris Ali then came over and saw blood coming out of his son's throat. His arms and legs were all broken. There was no sound, no movement, and no pulse. He was dead. When something like this happens right in front of parents, can they possibly accept it? Idris Ali stood beside his son like a stone, and holding onto her son's body, Idris Ali's wife began crying uncontrollably. At that moment, Idris Ali told his wife, "Come, let's take our son's body home. We have to make arrangements for his burial." This is what was written in our fate. What else can we do? Then Idris Ali and his wife carried their son's body back home. They woke everyone in the house that very night. Seeing the tragic death of their brother, Idris Ali's other children also broke down in tears. Slowly, morning came. People from the surrounding area began gathering. Before long, the news had spread throughout the surrounding villages. There was only one thing people were saying. They said that Idris Ali's father had been a Kabiraj, and many jinn had been angry with him. That was why, out of anger, they had killed his son. The body was buried. Idris Ali did not go to the police station or report the matter to the authorities because he knew who had actually caused the incident. Despite everything that had happened, Idris Ali did not cry. The other members of the family were the ones who cried. His wife cried. His other children cried. But Idris Ali did not shed even a single tear. Looking at his dead son, it did not seem as though he was grieving at all. But inside him, there was suppressed anger and rage. Within 7 days of his son's death, Idris Ali obtained a small piece of mountain neem wood. After his son died, he had stopped practicing Kabiraj for several days because he simply could not accept the pain of losing his son. But he did not let anyone understand what he was going through. No one could understand what was actually going on inside him. 7 days after his son's death, Idris Ali called his wife and said, "I know you are suffering terribly because of our son. I am suffering too, but I don't want to let anyone see it, and I won't let them understand what is going on inside me. I will do what I have to do. Tonight I am going to my pond. The one who brutally murdered my son right in front of me will not be forgiven. I will give that creature a severe punishment." Then Idris Ali's wife said, "Whatever damage was going to happen has already happened. The treasure of our hearts, our beloved son, is gone. His death was written by Allah this way, and it has happened. Please don't take this any further. I don't want to lose anyone else. And even if you punish someone now, will that bring our son back?" So there was no need to take this any further. Then Idris told his wife, "Don't try to explain any of this to me. I know everything very well. I will understand what I need to do. You stay quiet." In this way, he tried to convince his wife. That night, after finishing dinner, Idris Ali took the piece of mountain neem wood and prepared it. He took the wooden pieces along with a strong bottle and set out toward the pond. Before leaving, he told his wife, "Don't you dare fall asleep until I come back home. Stay awake." Then Idris Ali headed toward the pond. After some time, he reached the pond. On one side of the pond, there was a small bush. In front of that bush, he took the mountain neem wood he had prepared and divided it into 7 pieces. He made the pieces round in shape and buried half of each piece in the ground, forming a circle. Then, right in the middle of the circle, he placed the bottle with its mouth open. After setting everything up, Idris quietly lay inside the bush. Basically, he had buried the 7 pieces of wood in the ground in a circular formation, with the bottle placed exactly in the middle. He remained completely silent inside the bush. A lot of time passed, but there was no sound or sign of anything. Idris Ali could not say what time of night it was. Suddenly, he heard the sound of movement in the water. Idris Ali immediately understood. The killers of my son have come. He realized that the group of female demons had come to the pond to eat fish. He had already understood that there was more than one of them. However, that night only one had come. He later realized that many others came there as well. That was why he had placed 7 pieces of wood in a circle. Idris quietly remained inside the bush and began applying all the Kabiraj knowledge he had learned throughout his life. A considerable amount of time passed like this. Suddenly, Idris saw something terrifying. One by one, the pieces of mountain neem wood buried in the ground began rising from the earth on their own and entering the bottle. One after another, all 7 pieces of wood entered the bottle. After that, Idris Ali came out of the bush, closed the mouth of the bottle, and took it home. When he arrived home, Idris Ali called his wife. Hearing her husband's voice, his wife opened the door. She had not slept because her husband had told her not to sleep before he returned. Idris Ali showed her the bottle and said, "Look, there are 7 pieces of wood inside this bottle. And inside these pieces of wood, there are 7 female demons. I cannot say exactly which one of these 7 is the one who killed my son, but I am certain that one of these 7 is my son's killer." Hearing this, Idris Ali's wife said, "Why would you make the other 6 suffer because of one? Let them go." Then Idris Ali said, "I am going to leave this bottle outside in the courtyard with its mouth open. When the far call to prayer begins, you will close the mouth of the bottle and bring it inside. Don't worry, the guilty female demon will not be able to escape from this bottle. The other 6 will leave the bottle before far. Whichever piece of wood remains inside the bottle, the guilty female demon will remain trapped with that piece of wood. I have made it so that she will never be able to escape from that piece of wood. And this is her only punishment. She will remain like this for the rest of her life. As long as she remains alive, she will suffer. I could have killed her immediately if I wanted to, but I won't kill her. She will remain imprisoned and suffer little by little. That is her punishment." Then Idris's wife said, "Okay, I will bring the bottle in from the courtyard when the far call to prayer begins." And that was exactly what happened. They left the bottle in the courtyard with its mouth open and went inside the house, closing the door. After some time, when the far call to prayer began, Idris Ali's wife went outside into the courtyard. She saw that there was only one piece of wood inside the bottle. The other 6 pieces of wood were no longer inside the bottle. They were not anywhere nearby either. The 6 pieces of wood had simply disappeared. She closed the mouth of the bottle and brought it to Idris Ali. After receiving the bottle, Idris Ali made a small hole inside his room. Then he thought about it and decided that the hole was not deep enough. So he made it much deeper. Then he buried the bottle inside the hole and covered it completely with soil. Days continued to pass. At different times, the family members of that female demon would appear in Idris Ali's dreams and tell him to release their family member. They would threaten him, saying that if he did not release her, they would cause even greater harm to Idris Ali's family. But every time, Idris would answer them in his dreams. "I have punished her for what she did. She killed my son right in front of me. I will never forgive her. I will never release her. And I will not kill her myself either. She will remain imprisoned. She will suffer little by little. And this is her punishment. If you can do something, then do it. If you are capable, then come and release her." In this way, several years passed. It was approximately 1985. By then, Sohel's mother had already gotten married. In those days, people often got married at a very young age, especially girls. So she had also gotten married. Idris Ali normally went to a distant market on market days to buy groceries. He would often return home late after shopping. At that time, the village roads were still unpaved. Even a little rain would turn the village roads into mud. One day, he bought 3 hilsa fish along with other groceries at the market. By the time he started his journey home, it was already quite late. Because the road was muddy, he put the hilsa fish and the other groceries inside his basket, placed his shoes inside it as well, pulled his lungi up slightly, and continued walking barefoot. The sky was cloudy, but from time to time, the moonlight made the surroundings quite visible. Walking along, Idris Ali eventually entered his own village. From there, it would take him perhaps another 8 to 15 minutes at most to reach his house on foot. As he continued walking, Idris Ali came underneath a codbell tree. Suddenly, without any wind or warning, a codbell fruit fell from the tree. It was an unripe codbell, and it fell directly in front of Idris Ali. At first, Idris Ali thought that perhaps it had simply fallen on its own. Thinking this, he took one step forward. Then another codbell fruit fell directly in front of him. At that point, Idris Ali understood that something was wrong. When another codbell fell right in front of Idris, yet another one fell in front of him. This time, Idris became quite irritated. His anger also reached a very dangerous level. Then the codbell tree began shaking violently, and an invisible force spoke from the tree in a terrifying voice. "Hey Idris, aren't you a Kabiraj? Have you become so scared of a little thing falling in front of you? You have trapped our sister and buried her in the ground. We will not let you go so easily." We will destroy your family and leave you in ruins. Idris Ali heard all of this, but he still did not take the basket containing his groceries and fish down from his head. With the basket still on his head, Idris bent down, picked up the 3 codbell fruits from the ground with his hands, and placed them into the basket on his head. Then he said to the invisible force, "Why are you jumping around so much? You're making such big threats. You must have a lot of power, don't you? Then stay here. I'll take my basket of groceries home, and then I'll see how powerful you really are. I'll fight you." The terrifying demon-like entity in the tree began laughing hysterically. Then it said, "Go, take your groceries home. Today we'll see who has more strength. You want to fight me? Fine, come then. If you're so eager to fight me, I'm ready too. Come." Idris Ali started walking toward his home. As he walked away, the demon behind him suddenly called out, "Hey Kabiraj, give me one of those hilsa fish. I haven't eaten hilsa fish in so long." Idris Ali turned around for a moment. Then he simply continued walking straight toward his house. When he reached home, he woke his wife and handed her the basket of groceries. He told his wife, "Something happened to me on the way here. Now I'm going back to it. Let's see what it can do to me." Idris Ali's wife repeatedly tried to stop him. "No, don't go. Please don't go." But Idris Ali was a stubborn and fearless man. He was extremely brave. On top of that, he was also a highly experienced Kabiraj. He took the 3 codbell fruits out of the basket and started walking toward the codbell tree. Before leaving, he told his wife, "If I don't come back, don't let anyone go looking for me at night." After saying this, Idris Ali started walking toward the codbell tree. Eventually, he reached the tree. As soon as the terrifying demon saw Idris Ali, it spoke from the tree. "Oh, Kabiraj, you really are very brave. You actually came back to fight me, and at this hour of the night. I thought you wouldn't return home. You threatened me and then left. You're quite something." Then Idris Ali said, "I have these 3 codbell fruits in my hands. As long as these 3 unripe codbell fruits do not ripen, our fight will continue. When they ripen and burst open, the fight will end." Then Idris Ali began applying various forms of Kabiraji knowledge that he knew. Beside the road, there was a small ditch-like area. There was only a little water in it, but the mud was deep, up to the knees. Suddenly, the terrifying demon jumped onto Idris Ali. Idris Ali began fighting with all his strength. He applied his Kabiraji knowledge in such a way that, even with all its strength, the terrifying demon could not seriously harm Idris Ali. The fight continued like this. At one point, the terrifying demon dragged Idris Ali into the ditch beside the road and jumped into it with him. Even after falling into the ditch, Idris Ali continued fighting against the invisible force. At that time, 2 men were returning home from the market along that road. As soon as they came near the codbell tree, they heard the sounds of a violent struggle. They shone their flashlights toward the bushes beside the road. They saw a man covered completely in mud, struggling with something. At one moment, the mud-covered man would rise up. Then he would fall back down. The thing beneath him would rise again. The men called out, "Who's there?" Then Idris Ali shouted, "It's me, Idris Ali. Turn off your lights and leave this place. You don't need to stay here." The men thought that Idris Ali was a Kabiraj and perhaps he was performing some kind of Kabiraji practice. They assumed that this was simply a part of his work. Just think about it. How often do we ever see or hear something like this? There was a violent struggle. Someone was there. Then the figure was gone. But what happened here? Idris Ali himself was telling them, "I'm Idris Ali. Leave. Turn off your lights." That alone should give you an idea of how strange the situation was. The 2 men left the place. But Idris Ali was not simply fighting. He was also using his Kabiraji knowledge against the demon. The men had already left, but the fight continued. The demon had been fighting Idris Ali for a long time, yet it could not do anything to him. Because of this, it became extremely angry and furious. It was growling and hissing in rage. This creature had enormous claws and huge teeth, and its entire body appeared to be covered in hair. The fight continued for a very long time. Idris Ali was able to protect himself through his Kabiraji knowledge and, by the mercy of Allah, the creature could not seriously harm him. But after fighting throughout the entire night inside the mud, Idris Ali became extremely weak and exhausted. Then suddenly, crack, the 3 unripe codbell fruits burst open one after another. There were 3 loud cracking sounds. A short while later, the sound of the far call to prayer came floating from the Noor Mosque. At that moment, the terrifying demon used all the strength it had left. It lifted Idris Ali slightly out of the ditch and slammed him violently onto the road. The impact caused severe pain in Idris Ali's neck. His neck became badly twisted to one side. Before leaving, the demon said to Idris Ali, "You can't even imagine what I will do to your descendants if I get the chance. Today, I could only do this much. I couldn't do anything more than this. Just wait." After that, Idris Ali slowly got up and began walking home. When he reached home, he called his wife. Seeing Idris Ali, his wife broke down in tears. He was in a terrible condition. His entire body was covered in mud, and his head was bent to one side. They gave him a bath and laid him down on the bed. They applied oil and treated his injuries. Idris Ali remained seriously ill for 7 days. After 7 days, he became relatively healthy again. But the neck that had been twisted during that incident remained bent for the rest of his life. It never got better. After that, Idris Ali continued practicing Kabiraji for many years. He helped many people, but his neck remained slightly bent like that. It was not severely bent, but anyone could tell from a distance that his neck was crooked. Even then, those terrifying female demons would appear in Idris Ali's dreams and tell him, "Release our sister. Otherwise, we will harm your children and their families. We will continue harming your descendants generation after generation." But Idris Ali could never forget his son's death. That was why he never released the female demon. Before Idris Ali died, he taught his son-in-law, meaning Sohel's father, enough Kabiraji knowledge to provide basic protection to the family. He taught him whatever was necessary to protect his children from such problems. Besides that, he taught each of his children certain things for their protection. A few days before his death, Idris Ali released many jinn that he had kept imprisoned. At different times, he had imprisoned many jinn. Before releasing them, he told each of them, "Never harm anyone again. If you can, help people instead." After advising them like this, he released those jinn. The night before Idris Ali died, he called his wife and handed her a taro leaf wrapped tightly with thread. He said, "Open this." His wife asked, "What is inside the taro leaf?" He replied, "There is a terrifying jinn inside it. I am going to release it. It has learned its lesson. It has already received enough punishment. Perhaps it will never do anything bad again." Idris Ali's wife then untied the thread around the taro leaf. When she opened it, she saw a black smoke-like substance emerge from inside the leaf. It slowly moved toward the window and disappeared outside. On the morning of the day Idris Ali died, he took out a clay pot that had been buried in the ground in one corner of his room. He told his wife, "Break this pot with one blow." He then told her to take a stick in her hand. His wife took the stick and smashed the pot with a single strike. Immediately, a white, coiled smoke slowly emerged from inside the broken pot. It moved toward the door, went outside, and disappeared. Then Idris Ali told his wife, "I have released the ones who were supposed to be released, but I will never release my son's killer." Then Idris Ali's wife asked, "Why did you make me do all of this? You were the one who imprisoned them. Why didn't you release them yourself?" Idris Ali replied, "I had imprisoned them in such a way that although I was the one who trapped them, I would not be able to release them myself. They could only be freed by someone else's hands. That is why I had you release them. I hope they will become good." That afternoon, Idris Ali died of old age. Arrangements were made for his burial and funeral. Many people came from different places to see his body. The night after Idris Ali died, his wife and his daughter, Sohel's mother, both had the same dream. In the dream, a terrifying, ugly-looking man appeared and said, "Idris Ali died while keeping our sister imprisoned. He could have released her, but he didn't. We will take revenge. When we get the opportunity, we will harm everyone. After seeing this dream, Idris Ali's wife and his daughter, Sohel's mother, both woke up at the same time. They discussed what they had seen. From the next day onward, they kept a very close eye on the members of their family and remained extremely careful. Several years passed like this. Then Sohel was born. When Sohel was 4 months old, one day his mother laid him down on a small bench in the courtyard and went into the kitchen to cook. At that time, Sohel's father was at home, and Sohel's elder sister was inside the house. Suddenly, from somewhere, a white horse appeared and began licking both of Sohel's ears. Sohel's mother looked toward the courtyard to see what her little baby was doing outside. Then she saw the white horse repeatedly licking Sohel's ears with its tongue. Seeing this, she started screaming, "How did a white horse get here? And why is it putting its tongue on his ears?" Hearing her screams, people from the surrounding area came running over. But even then, the horse continued licking Sohel's ears. Seeing the situation, Sohel's mother ran toward him. As she approached, the horse ran toward the back of Sohel's house and disappeared into the garden behind the house. Sohel's mother reached her son and saw something horrifying. The lower parts of Sohel's ears had become completely flat and attached to his face. Normally, the lower part of a person's ear hangs down slightly. We call this the earlobe. But the hanging part of Sohel's ear, the earlobe, had been licked by that horse until it had become completely attached to his jaw. Sohel's entire face had become bright red, almost blood red. His mother hugged Sohel and began crying uncontrollably. At that moment, she remembered the demon she had seen in her dream. When Sohel's father returned home, she told him what had happened. Sohel's father said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." Then Sohel's father tried to prepare some remedies and protective amulets that he had learned from his father-in-law, Idris Ali. He also tried to perform ruqya in his own way, and he continued doing these things. Days and years passed. Sohel did not experience any further problems. Eventually, Sohel was sent to school. One day, during the summer, Sohel went to school. During the afternoon tiffin break, he went toward the pond beside the school. There was a huge arecanut garden beside the pond. When Sohel reached the pond, he saw a woman sitting in one corner of it, doing something. He could see her from behind, while the front of her body was facing toward the pond. Sohel said, "Auntie, what are you doing at the pond?" The woman did not say anything. Sohel asked again, "Oh, Auntie, what are you doing at the pond?" The woman still did not respond. Suddenly, the woman stood up from beside the pond and began walking toward the garden. Sohel also started walking behind her. While Sohel was walking toward the garden, one of the school's teachers noticed him. The teacher saw Sohel walking toward the garden, but the teacher could not see whether there was anyone walking in front of Sohel. He noticed that Sohel was walking alone. There was no one in front of Sohel. Only Sohel could see that thing. So the teacher gathered a few students and started calling out to Sohel. They kept calling him from behind, but Sohel seemed unable to hear them. He was staring straight ahead as if hypnotized, walking completely alone behind something. Meanwhile, what did the teacher do? He ran after Sohel with the other students. They had to stop Sohel at any cost. Surely something was wrong. Sohel's teacher had also sensed that something unusual was happening. Suddenly, when the teacher caught up with Sohel and placed a hand on his body from behind, Sohel came back to his senses. Then Sohel said, "Sir, how did I get here?" The teacher replied, "You were walking while staring straight ahead. What were you looking at? Why were you walking in that direction?" Sohel then told the teacher everything he had seen near the pond and whose footsteps he had been following. Several other students were also present, and they heard the whole story. Sohel also said that while he was following the woman into the garden, the woman suddenly stopped. Then she turned around and looked directly at Sohel. That was when Sohel saw the woman's face. He became extremely frightened, but he was so terrified that he could not make a single sound. Sohel saw that there was no flesh on the woman's face. Near her nose, there was a single red eye that was flickering and glowing, and where the other eye should have been, there was only an empty space. Her head was covered with huge strands of hair that looked like ropes, as if they were badly tangled. And this terrifying woman was beckoning Sohel with her hand, signaling him to come closer. After hearing all of this, the teacher understood that Sohel was extremely frightened. He took Sohel away from there and brought him home. When the teacher told Sohel's mother everything that had happened, she used some traditional rural methods to treat Sohel. She heated an iron object and put it into water for him to drink, gave him a bath, and did several other things that people in the village traditionally used in such situations. Then she put Sohel to sleep. She also understood who was actually behind this incident. That night, Sohel's mother once again saw that terrifying figure in her dream. The horrifying figure appeared in her dream and said, "Today, I almost got your son. He escaped by a very narrow margin. There is still time. My sister has been buried beneath your father's house. Release her. Otherwise, something terrible will happen to all of you, and the damage will be something you will never be able to recover from." After saying this, the terrifying demon burst into loud, horrifying laughter. Suddenly, Sohel's mother woke up. She began crying as soon as she woke up. Hearing her crying, her husband woke up. Sohel's father asked her, "What happened?" She told him everything about her dream. Then Sohel's father said, "Uncle, I'll see what can be done. Don't be afraid. Stay strong. They may try to frighten us, but they won't be able to do anything." The next morning, Sohel's mother took Sohel to her father's house and told her mother everything. After hearing everything, Sohel's grandmother said, "I had also told your father to release her, but your father told me before he died never to release her. If she is released for any reason, she will destroy everyone in our family." Hearing this, Sohel's mother became even more worried. After all, what mother would want her child or her family to be harmed by anyone? And so, the days continued to pass. Sohel's father was a fish trader by profession. He would collect fish from different places and sell them in the market. Most of the time, he mainly dealt in hilsa fish. Since he could not sell all the fish every day, he would take home the fish that he thought could be kept for the family. He would also store some of the fish on ice and sell them the next day. After finishing his fish business at the market, it often became nighttime by the time he returned home. And when someone returned home at night carrying fish, there was always a chance of encountering something supernatural. The villagers knew about this. Sohel's father was a brave man, just like his maternal grandfather, Idris Ali. He also knew some Kabiraj practices and had made his own protective amulet. He would use it to protect himself. Because of this, he usually did not face much trouble while returning home at night with fish. It was already very late. The year was 2011. It was a stormy day. That day, Sohel's father left Chaki Bazaar in Rampal Upjala and started heading toward home. Sohel, Sohel's sister, and Sohel's mother were staying at Sohel's maternal grandfather's house that day. The weather was terrible. Because there were hardly any people at the market, very little fish was being bought or sold. At the same time, his wife and children were at their maternal grandfather's house. He needed to go there, pick them up, and then return home with them. So he was in a hurry. Carrying a basket full of hilsa fish, Sohel's father started toward his in-laws' house. Because of the bad weather, there was almost no transportation on the road. There were very few people outside as well. Sohel's father thought, "Instead of waiting for transportation, I'll just put this basket on my head and walk home." The wind was blowing all around him, but he was a brave man, so he continued walking despite the difficult conditions. Eventually, he reached his in-laws' house. Sohel's maternal grandfather's house was in the neighboring village, so it was not very far away. From his in-laws' house, Sohel's father started walking home with Sohel, Sohel's mother, and Sohel's elder sister. Sohel's mother was holding Sohel's elder sister's hand with one hand and Sohel's hand with the other. She was walking ahead. Sohel's father was walking behind them, carrying the basket of hilsa fish on his head. There were around 10 to 15 hilsa fish in the basket, so carrying it was not particularly difficult for him. They continued walking like this. Eventually, they were about 200 to 250 meters away from home. At that point, Sohel's father suddenly began to feel that the weight of the basket of fish had become lighter. Then he understood that something was wrong. He took the basket down from his head and slightly tilted his head and the basket, looking around and upward in different directions. Then he saw that, yes, the number of fish in the basket had decreased. But he also saw something else. On one side of the road, there was a palm tree. On the other side of the road, there was a madder tree. Someone was standing with one foot on top of the palm tree and the other foot on top of the madder tree. And one of its enormous hands was reaching down into the basket on top of his head. Just imagine the situation. A terrifying figure is standing above a person, with one foot on a tree on each side of the road, while the person has a basket on his head, and this horrifying creature has bent down and placed one of its enormous hands inside the basket. What kind of feeling could a person possibly have in that situation? Even after seeing all of this, Sohel's father told Sohel's mother, "You keep moving forward. Don't look back at me. Take them straight home. Don't look behind you. I won't come home now. I'll come in the morning. You go home. And don't ask me what I'm going to do here." So they left. Sohel's mother knew that her husband had learned certain Kabiraji practices and that he might sometimes face different kinds of dangers. She also knew that there were specific methods to deal with such situations. So she did not say anything. She took the children and went home. She understood that something was wrong with Sohel's father. Before leaving, she had said, "How can I leave you here alone?" Sohel's sister and Sohel were with her. But Sohel's father told her, "Don't worry about me. You go home. I will come in the morning, inshallah." So Sohel's mother took Sohel and his sister and started walking toward home. However, Sohel's father also told her, "They are taking all my hilsa fish. This could become a serious problem. Go straight home and go quickly." Although Sohel's mother did not want to leave him behind, she eventually went. She took Sohel and his sister straight home and locked the door. The rest of the incident was later learned from Sohel's father when he returned home. After sending his family home, Sohel's father turned toward the demon and said, "I know you have taken my fish. You will return every single fish to me. You cannot keep even one." The demon began laughing hysterically and said in a terrifying voice, "What a strange thing. You have the nerve to ask me to return your fish? I will take the fish, and you are asking me to give them back? This has never happened to me in my entire life." Saying this, the figure continued laughing. Then Sohel's father said, "I'm telling you nicely one more time. Give my fish back. These are fish from my business. I sell them to support my family. You still have time. Give my fish back." But the demon had already taken all the hilsa fish from the basket. Sohel's father kept demanding that it return them, but the demon simply refused. Then it said, "I have taken all of your fish. Now I'll enjoy eating them. Let's see how you can take them back from me." Saying this, the demon continued laughing hysterically. Then Sohel's father said, "Fine. I know very well how to take my fish back." Sohel's father took some soil from beside the road and began drawing a circular boundary around himself. He placed his basket inside the circle. Then he removed most of the clothes he was wearing and sat inside the circle. There, he began applying various remedies and techniques that he had learned from his father-in-law. Seeing this, the demon also began laughing. He said, "Go ahead, try. Let's see whether you can take your fish back from me." Sohel's father continued applying all the protective remedies and Kabiraji knowledge he had learned. A long time passed like this. No one could say exactly how much time had passed. Suddenly, Sohel's father looked upward. He saw all of the fish hanging in midair. Then, one by one, all the fish moved through the air and fell directly into his basket. Every single fish fell back inside the basket. After that, he put the basket back on his head and started walking toward home. When he reached home, he called his wife. She opened the door. He handed the basket to his wife and said, "Here, all the fish are here exactly as they should be. But I'm not going inside yet. I'll enter after the far call to prayer. If I go inside right now, something could happen to me, and it could cause problems for you as well." As he was saying this, the demon that had been standing with its feet on the palm tree and the madder tree became extremely furious because it had been unable to eat the fish. Suddenly, crash, something came down violently onto a palm tree. The impact was so tremendous that the entire area seemed to shake like an earthquake. Imagine the sound and the force of a huge palm tree suddenly crashing down into the courtyard. Both Sohel's father and mother were terrified. Any person would have been frightened after witnessing something like that. Sohel's father was frightened too. However, he tried to reassure Sohel's mother. He said, "It couldn't eat the fish. That's why it returned them." This is probably the first time in its life that it has been forced to return something after taking it. This isn't the way these demons usually behave. That's why it is so furious. Then he said, "The far call to prayer will be given soon. After the call to prayer, I'll take a bath and come inside. Then I'll pray and go to sleep." And that is exactly what he did. In this way, one problem after another continued to fall upon Sohel's family. Sohel's maternal uncle, grandmother, aunts, and other members of their families continued to experience various paranormal problems. All of these incidents together had made their lives miserable. Time kept passing, but the fear and intimidation continued. There was always an unknown sense of terror. What if something terrible happens to someone this time? And this continued for years. It was toward the end of 2020. By then, COVID-19 had brought to a near standstill. There were very few people on the roads during the day, and at night it was extremely difficult to find anyone outside. One night, Sohel set off on his bike from Khulna toward his home in Rampal. When he reached near Chuksi Bazaar, his bike ran out of fuel. It was around 1 a.m. There were no shops open anywhere nearby at that hour. The nearest fuel station was also quite far away. So Sohel pushed his bike for a while and eventually reached a nearby house. He knocked on the door and woke the people inside. He explained his situation and said, "I'll leave my bike here tonight. I'll come back tomorrow morning with fuel in a drum, fill the tank, and then take the bike home." At first, the people in the house were a little hesitant about letting him leave the bike there. They were worried that perhaps someone had brought the bike there after stealing it. But when Sohel introduced himself, they became reassured. They recognized him and understood the situation. Sohel left the bike there and started walking toward home. The people in the house told him, "Son, we know you. Don't go at this hour. Stay here tonight. We have a place for you to sleep. There's no reason for you to leave so late at night." They tried repeatedly to convince him to stay, but Sohel refused. He started walking. There were no people around, no vehicles, nothing. The entire road was silent. Sohel turned on his phone's flashlight and continued walking. It was around 2:30 a.m. when Sohel suddenly noticed a white horse running across the road in front of him and disappearing into the darkness. Sohel himself was courageous, just like his grandfather and father. But no matter how brave someone is, a young man walking alone on a deserted road in the middle of the night would naturally become frightened after witnessing something like that. Sohel initially convinced himself that perhaps he had imagined it. He kept walking. After taking several more steps, the same white horse suddenly came running from ahead, crossed directly in front of him again, and disappeared behind him. This time, Sohel realized that something was definitely not normal. Sohel had a habit of smoking cigarettes. He lit a cigarette and continued walking. He walked quite a long distance, lighting one cigarette after another. Eventually, he finished his cigarettes. By then, it was already past 3 a.m. And just after he finished his last cigarette, his mobile phone suddenly switched off. Sohel had checked his phone earlier. The battery indicator had shown around 50% charge. Yet, despite having so much charge remaining, the phone suddenly shut down by itself. Sohel became extremely nervous. He started wondering how he would make it through the rest of the journey in complete darkness. Still, he kept walking. After going a little farther, Sohel noticed two men standing some distance ahead of him. Seeing the two men gave Sohel a little courage. But he had no idea what was waiting for him. Sohel walked toward them and called out, "Brother, what are you doing out here so late at night?" The men replied, "Our house is right here. Where is your house?" Then Sohel said, "Brother, please don't mind. I'm in a bit of trouble. My phone has also shut down. It's very late and I'm in trouble. I'm scared to go home alone. I thought maybe you could help me somehow." As Sohel was saying this, the two men began looking directly at him. Until then, they had been standing a little farther away and mostly looking in their own direction. They hadn't really been looking at Sohel while talking to him. Under the faint moonlight, Sohel finally got a clearer look at their faces. And what he saw was something no human being would ever want to see. The two men had no eyes, no lips, no nose. Asterisk asterisk. Where their faces should have been, there was only a small hole. And they were speaking through that hole. The moment Sohel saw this, he was terrified. He immediately turned around and ran as fast as he could. While running, he heard a horrible, terrifying laugh coming from behind him. It felt as though someone was laughing right next to his ear. Suddenly, everything became strangely quiet. Sohel stopped running and took a moment to catch his breath. Then he started walking again. After walking some distance, Sohel noticed something a little away from the road. A dwarf-like figure was climbing down from a tall palm tree. It was moving strangely, almost like a squirrel, with its head lowered as it climbed down. When the tiny dwarf-like creature reached the ground, it began shaking the enormous palm tree, and the palm tree itself started swaying violently in an unnatural way. A tiny, dwarf-like figure shaking such a massive palm tree was not something anyone could consider normal. It was horrifying. Fear practically froze Sohel's entire body. He somehow managed to compose himself and started running again. After going some distance, Sohel finally entered his own village. That gave him a little courage. Beside the village road, there had once been an old cremation ground. People no longer burned bodies there, but there were still many tall palm trees around the area. As Sohel approached the old cremation ground, he suddenly felt his body becoming extremely heavy. When he reached roughly the middle of the cremation ground, he suddenly saw something standing in the middle of the road. It was a headless human-like body, and its entire body was engulfed in burning flames. The sight terrified Sohel so badly that he thought, "This might be the last day of my life. Maybe I'll never make it home." Suddenly, the headless burning figure began laughing with a horrifying sound. It had no head, yet the laughter was clearly coming from it. Sohel couldn't understand where the sound was coming from, or how the thing could possibly laugh without a head. The terrifying laughter seemed so close and so intense that Sohel felt as though his heart was about to burst out of his chest. He could no longer control himself. Sohel let out a terrified scream and collapsed unconscious right there on the road. Early in the morning, while people were on their way to the mosque for far prayer, they found Sohel lying near the old cremation ground. They recognized him and realized that he was from a nearby house, so they helped carry Sohel back to his home. When they brought him inside and splashed water on his face, Sohel regained consciousness. He then told his mother everything that had happened to him that night. After hearing the entire story, his mother understood that these were members of the same demonic family connected to the female demon who had been trapped beneath their ancestral home. Sohel was then given various types of blessed water and other traditional remedies, and by the grace of Allah, he gradually recovered. For 9 days, Sohel suffered from a terrible fever. Then, one night, Sohel's mother had a terrifying dream. She saw several enormous, horrifying figures standing before her. They said, "We were going to bury your son alive, but for some reason we couldn't do it. But how long do you think you can keep living like this? There is still time. Release our sister while there is still time. Otherwise, everyone in your family will have to suffer terrible consequences. Your father is no longer alive. Who is going to protect you now? Think carefully while you still have time." After saying this, the terrifying figures disappeared. Sohel's maternal grandparents' house had originally been a tin-roofed house. The female demon had been buried beneath that house. In 2021, a building was constructed there, and the entire building was constructed directly over the ground where the demon had been buried, so that she could never be released. During the construction of the building, Sohel's grandmother, his maternal uncle, and Sohel's mother were reportedly threatened and intimidated in various ways. But none of them stopped out of fear. To this day, That female demon is believed to remain trapped beneath that house. How long she will remain there, only Allah knows. For all these years, Sohel's maternal uncle, aunts, and the rest of their family have continued living with fear, anxiety, and uncertainty. They still live with the constant fear that they might lose one of their loved ones at any moment. And that was the story of what happened to Sohel's family. Dear listeners, Sohel's grandmother still cries when she remembers the tragic death of her son. Can any mother ever forget watching her own child die such a horrifying death right before her eyes? Surely no mother could. That female demon is still believed to be trapped beneath that house. When, how, or whether she will ever be released, no one knows. Allah knows best. And according to Sohel's family, the members of that demon's family still threaten them, demanding that they release their sister. Dear listeners, how did you find this terrifying incident? Let us know in the comments how you felt about the story and which part scared you the most. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to share your thoughts with us. Until the next terrifying story, stay safe and stay alert. Thank you for listening.